Update. Am I the a-hole for not going to my parents' wedding before they get divorced again? Original post. So my 26 female parents, both 50, got married when I was 5 and I was the flower girl. When I was around 10, they got divorced, which no one saw coming because they never fought. I feel like I have to mention, my parents were both very wealthy and kept finances separate. And so it was an easy divorce and obviously they could pay for it. When I was about 17-ish, they decided to get back together. And me being 17 was overjoyed and was a bridesmaid at their second wedding. I really hope you see where this is going. But they ended up separating again. They didn't tell anyone and didn't get a divorce, but we all knew they were separated. And 3 years later, they wanted to renew their vows, in which I was asked to buy a nice dress for the occasion. Surprise! They got divorced. Again. And only after 3 months after their renewal. After that, I sort of just lived my own life because I wasn't exactly thrilled at whatever they were doing, and honestly really over it. So, a few days ago, I got an invite in the mail to my parents' 3rd or 4th wedding after 6 years, and so I called my mom about it. She was super excited and told me I was old enough to be her maid of honor and that she wants me to buy a $1,500 dress. That's a solid no for me. I told her I'd be her maid of honor, but I'm either going to wear the original bridesmaid dress, which is a cream color, or the other nice one I got, which is brown, because I'm not buying a $1,500 dress. She freaked out and told me that those don't match the color scheme, which is pink and green, and that she knows I can't afford it. Which is true, as I got an inheritance from my grandfather's passing. However, when my fiancé and I moved in together, he made clear he didn't want me to be paying for most things, and he wants to do it 50-50. So, we got a small apartment that he could afford to pay his share of, and all of my extra money is in savings/college fund because we want a large family of 5 to 7 kids, and they are, well, expensive. So I reminded my mom of that and told her that I also would like to use my money on other things that won't be worn once, and I'll have to buy a new one every 3 to 6 years. My mom called me a spoiled brat, and that I'm wasting my privilege, I have no words, and that I'm telling her I won't be part of my own parents' wedding. I told her that I was going to be willing to show up to the wedding and not be the maid of honor, but at this point, I'm not showing up at all, and told her to call me when they get their next divorce. I hung up and got a slew of nasty emails from my family throughout the day, and my friends are divided if I made a right call, with the premise that they are my parents. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole 100%. What the heck? Who marries and divorces the same person multiple times? You're completely in the right not wanting to spend that much money for a one-occasion dress, when they most likely will divorce again, and you're gonna need the money with so many kids planned. I'm starting to think it's because no one else wants to get with them. I don't suppose the thought of just living together without a marriage certificate has occurred to either of your parents. Oh, a couple of their friends have suggested it, but they want to prove their devotion to each other, or some BS like that. I'm pretty sure the divorce papers prove otherwise. Not the a-hole. If they're both well off, why can't they just buy the dress for you? It's their 4th wedding and she wants you as the maid of honor, so it makes sense for her to just get the dress for you. Asking the real questions here. I cannot imagine going to someone's 4th wedding after 2 divorces and a separation. And not even like they keep marrying the wrong person. The same couple. Yeesh. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry, but once it's the 3rd or 4th time to the same person, it's no longer a special event or moment. That's just a massive display of stupidity. It's totally reasonable that, if they are doing this every 5 years or so, to say that either they really should not be together, or that they really just want the attention. Though to me this situation reads as 2 people who are not compatible, but can't stand not having someone to give them attention. If she lets you go, I recommend a book on divorce as a wedding gift. I think they need it. Or maybe a book on self-love. And now for the update. Hi guys! First of all, thank you for all the attention, and some of your comments were absolutely hilarious. My fiancé and I had a field day going through all of them. A lot of people suggested just making my mom pay for the dress, but I was debating the suggestion of just being a guest, though a lot of you agreed with me to just not show up. I ended up calling my mom and was going to make a decision with however it went. She started off the conversation that she didn't need me to be part of the wedding party because her and my dad were having trouble having the best people, meaning no one will do it again, lol. So they were going to scratch that part of the wedding and it was all about them anyway. So I told them I was coming as a guest, and after, I made plans with my cousin to give me a lift, so I wasn't spending a single cent on going to their wedding. Now, my fiancé and I go over to their house for dinner once a month, so we went over there Saturday. As I mentioned before in a comment or two, my fiancé grew up financially insecure, and so I struggled with convincing him to do something nice for himself once in a while. I did, however, just convince him to spend part of our savings to do a really nice honeymoon in Greece since we are doing a small wedding. It took some pulling of teeth, but he now won't stop getting travel books and researching, and it makes me so happy to see him excited about this. It was a fairly pleasant dinner until my own wedding planning came up. I told him that we were pretty much set with the wedding, but we were having out details on Greece. My mom got visibly upset and excused herself, and my dad followed. I was pretty confused, but they came back and my dad calmly explained that my mom feels very hurt, that I'd be willing to spend thousands of dollars on my honeymoon, but wouldn't shell out money for their wedding. I was pretty dumbfounded and said, well, we are willing to have an expense on the honeymoon because we are only getting married once. So yeah, I got kicked out of the house and uninvited from the wedding. Not super torn up about it. And this is now my fiancé's favorite story to tell. Happy holidays, y'all! I seriously can't believe your mom is trying to overshadow your wedding with her fourth wedding. Not even waiting for you to have your moment. Not only that, but her fourth wedding to the same person. These people have more money than they know what to do with. Sounds like the best outcome, honestly. And I'm still laughing about your mother being shocked that no one wants to give her the full treatment for her fifth or whatever wedding. I have an aunt who's been married something like 8 times. At the last 2, she just did a quick stand-up wedding in a garden type thing because it turns out that no one wants to shell out money or buy presents for your 5th wedding to yet another loser. 4th wedding to the same man, which is like 10 times worse. You already know it won't work the first 4 times. It honestly just looks like an attention/gift grab. Your parents are toxic and wild AF. I picture your fiancé just sipping tea while all this was going down. Your response to your mom's entitlement was perfection. Are they still invited to your wedding? That's currently what's up in the air. I'm leaning towards no, because I know they are going to do something to ruin it. Fiancé is on the side of, it's going to be perfect no matter what happens. He just really wants to call me his wife. Lol. So he thinks it would bring quality entertainment. So it's an attention thing, right? The parents like being the focus on the wedding day, and then the sympathy/energy that people put into managing the 2 of them after the divorce? Or maybe OP's right, and they can't stand each other but no one else will have them, and obviously they can't get back together without a full wedding. Even writing this, none of it makes sense to me. I would love to be one of their marriage/divorce lawyers. The lawyer may give discounts for repeat couples. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for not inviting them to my Christmas party after they didn't invite me to their wedding? Original post. I threw a pretty big Christmas party every year, going on a decade now. A few years ago, at one I threw, my friend Tara met my former co-worker Tony and they hit it off. They dated for a while, and 2 years later, once again at my Christmas party, she showed up with a ring on her finger, and they announced for the first time that they were engaged. I was super happy for them. They got married this spring, and we didn't get invited. So, when I was sending around my party invitations this year, I didn't see any reason to invite them back if they didn't think I was worthy of making their guest list. I have known them both for years, basically introduced them, and they literally announced their engagement at my home. It got back to me today that they're very upset with us for not inviting them this year, that my party is something they consider special and they think I'm being petty. A couple friends even mentioned it was a smaller wedding, and they feel like I'm just punishing them. It wasn't though. There were probably 200 people there, and I knew at least 50 of them, and I was a little surprised at some of the names that made a cut over us. It didn't make us think about it or anything, but I don't see why I should welcome them into my home again after being snubbed like that. My partner thinks I should just let it go and invite them back, but I don't see a reason why I should. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You can invite and not invite whoever you want without any reason. And if they want one, say it is a smaller party this year. 100% this. If the event was so special to them, then they would associate it with you as well as a special friend, and would have invited you. It also feels so tacky to steal OP's Christmas party to announce their engagement like that. If they ask OP beforehand, then it would be different, but just showing up with the rings on? Not the a-hole. If they can't even invite the person who introduced them to their wedding, then I don't think they should expect an invitation to your Christmas party. If you're not close enough to make it to the wedding invite list, why should they be close enough to you to make it to your Christmas party? And someone who catered and hosted their engagement announcement party. Haha, you don't know the half of it. Over the last few years, we have literally had it catered. Had bartenders inside and outside, even hired someone to entertain kids earlier in the night. My partner and I put so much time, energy, and money into this every year because we love our friends. It started out small when we were younger, and now it's this big thing. I just don't like being taken for granted. Yeah, this is all making a lot more sense now. You go out of your way every year to throw this huge party for everyone, and now they're upset they're the only ones that are missing out. Not like they cared, when all of your friends went to their wedding and you were the only ones missing out. Screw these people, you don't owe them anything. Yeah, I guess that about sums it up. Thank you. Not the a-hole. Also, don't think it's petty. We don't have to prioritize people who don't prioritize us. Thank you. I'm so tired of entitled people ignoring someone until that someone has something they want. They weren't good enough friends to be invited to the wedding, so that says a lot about the value they place on a friendship. And now for the update. Since I got so many requests to check back in, here's the update. 1. I stuck to my guns and did not invite them to my Christmas party. My partner stood by me when I told him I had made my decision and didn't bring it up again. Neither did our friends. 2. Many of you guessed that they would try and crash our party. I got worried that could happen after all the responses, but thankfully it didn't. Probably 100 plus of you guessed she wanted to hijack the party to announce she was pregnant. If that's the case, they haven't told anyone as far as I know. 3. They did, however, decide to try and throw their own party at the same time as ours. Several friends told us they were trying to convince them to come to theirs instead. I honestly hope they had some guests and had a great time. I wish them no ill will. But I think just about everyone we expected came to our party, so I doubt they poached any guests from us. 4. They made enough of a last-minute fuss over this. That whole thing became the gossip of our party, which was their doing, not mine. I chose not to engage in it, but the consensus I heard was everyone thought it was bizarre they chose not to invite us to their wedding, and that them complaining about not being invited to our party was in poor taste. 5. Most common question on here was why did we not get an invite to their wedding? From what I can tell from the people at our party gossiping about the situation, they've said it was because we're a little bit older than they are. I think that's weird, since my partner and I are both 35 and they're 28/29. So it's not like we're very far apart. Tara used to hang out with us at least once a week when she was single, and I literally introduced them. The whole thing still seems strange to me, but I guess it is what it is. So yeah, that's how it all went down. Our party was a blast. We got to see so many friends, some of which we haven't really seen since before COVID. Everyone had a great time. People literally brought toddlers we hadn't gotten to meet yet because of how crazy the world has been over the last couple of years. It was a wonderful evening. I hope you all had as good of a Christmas as we did. Props for you for standing by your initial decision. They absolutely didn't deserve to be invited to your party, and I'm very glad you ended up having a great time. Also glad to read friends/guests of OP agreed that the couple were acting in poor taste. If I were at the Christmas party, I would have tagged the absent couple in some fun party photos on Instagram to remind them of what they missed out on due to their boorish behavior. It was a good idea. Last year, a similar incident happened to me with one of my neighbors. Then I could do it, although now everything is fine between us. Yeah, it has nothing to do with your age. You and your spouse throw this big party. People enjoy your hospitality and appreciate you. If you came to their wedding, you would have taken attention away from the bride. People would have talked about your parties, they would have socialized with you, and at the end of the day, the bride and groom were not mature enough to deal with that. This could very well be the reason. But some people are just users and not actually your friends. As a guy who hosts a lot of game nights at my house for all kinds of affairs, such as board games, card games, etc., usually with 4 to 12 people, it's become very clear to me that some people that come over my house to socialize don't actually consider me a friend. I'm at a venue. Once I get wind of this, they don't get invited again. It's also weird because I only invited them in the first place because I thought we already were friends. Some people just suck. Update. I, 24 male, caught my sister, 26 female, trying to steal a watch of mine. And now my mother, 51 female, wants me to apologize to her. So last night, I had some people over to celebrate moving into my new place. I had some family and friends, including my sister and my mother. For context, when I was growing up with my sister, she would often steal from myself and other family members. Money from my mom's purse or dad's wallet. She'd sneak into my room and take things. Even steal money from our grandparents, etc. We aren't very close because of this, and I always try to keep an eye on her when she's around. Despite this, I decided to invite my sister over because she doesn't live too far away, and I know my mom would have been upset if I didn't. I put all my watches and valuables in my safe, but I left out the watch I had planned on wearing that night, but ended up not wearing it and leaving it on my dresser. At one point during the party, my sister asked me where the bathroom was, and I pointed down the hallway and told her the bathroom was on the left. A couple minutes later, I went to go grab something from my room and saw her come out of my room as I was walking down the hall. She gave me this startled deer in the headlights look and said she was looking for the bathroom and walked away really quickly. I immediately got worried and went to do a quick look around my room. I immediately noticed a watch missing from the top of my dresser. This isn't some cheap $20 watch. I paid over $30K for it earlier this year. So I left my room and went straight to my sister to confront her. I pulled her off to the side so it wouldn't cause a scene and told her that I knew she took my watch, and if she gave it back right then, I wouldn't call the cops. She got extremely defensive and started yelling about how she didn't take anything from me and how I'm an a-hole, etc. At this point, a lot of people were staring and listening. She told me she was leaving and started heading toward the door, but I knew if she left, I might never see my watch again. So I grabbed her purse from her and dumped everything on the ground. Sure enough, there is my watch right there on the ground with the rest of the stuff from her purse. My sister screamed at me and called me a freaking a-hole and scooped up most of her stuff and ran out of my place. My mom followed her out and ended up not returning to the party. So after an awkward rest of the party, I got a call from my mom. She was mad at me. I got some long lecture about how I didn't need to humiliate my sister in front of everyone at a party, how she couldn't help herself, and that my sister is crying and upset now because of the scene I caused. She also got mad at me for going through my sister's purse and told me that I should never look in a lady's purse, and it was a complete invasion of privacy. First of all, I tried to pull my sister off to the side. She was the one who started yelling at me and causing a scene that made everyone look over at her. I also wouldn't have to go through her purse if she didn't steal from me and deny it and try to leave. I'm not just going to risk losing a $30K watch because I shouldn't look through a lady's purse. So now my mom wants me to not only apologize to my sister, but to tell all the guests that were there that it was a big misunderstanding and my sister didn't take anything. I'm really not sure what I should do about my mom. There is no way I'm going to apologize to my sister. She should be the one apologizing to me. And I'm certainly not going to lie to my house guests to get my sister out of the awkward mess she created for herself. I also don't know what to do about my sister. At this point, I'm pretty much just done with her. I think she should be the one apologizing, but I doubt she will ever do that. Thanks in advance for any advice. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. If you want to be snarky, you could point out it would have been even more embarrassing for your sister to have been arrested. Honestly, I don't have good advice for handling your mom. As far as your sister goes, it's time for the kid gloves to come off. If she steals from you again, treat her like the thief she is and call the cops. Don't bother lying to the guests. That'd be enabling. I would say don't give the sister a chance to steal again. If someone tried to steal $30,000 off me, that's it. We're done. I would refuse to see them in any capacity whatsoever. A good idea. But from the explanation given, I made the assumption that family dynamics may end up putting Opie and his sister in a similar situation again. Wait, why did your mom say your sister couldn't help it? What makes your mom think your sister can't help stealing? There's obvious history here, that you even mentioned, of her stealing. Has your family just always swept it under the rug and enabled it? Almost certainly some kind of kleptomania, although not a very severe one if she's only stealing from friends and family. But still, that would be enough for some mothers to claim their child should be pitied and not punished. Now for the first update. I invited my mom to lunch so that we could discuss what happened at the party and where to go from there. I explained to her that my sister stole a very expensive watch from me. It wasn't just some trinket, and it shouldn't matter even if it was. I tried to pull her away and confront her in private, but she chose to yell and curse at me and cause a scene. I also told her that I understand it is never okay to look into someone's private purse or bag, but that sort of etiquette goes out the window when tens of thousands of dollars of my stolen property is in her purse. My mom then went on a long rant about how we are all family, and that her and my sister believe that a family should share in each other's success. She told me that my sister was just upset because I was hoarding all of my money for myself, and that is understandable what she did. Mom said that I would never have gotten where I am today without all the work she put into raising me and the influence her and my sister had on my life. Then she went on to tell me that I owe it to her to evenly share my success with her and my sister, since we are family, and they would certainly do the same in my position, which was laughable. At this point, I'm pretty dumbfounded. Not only because she thinks my sister's actions were somehow justified, but because she credits herself for my success and thinks it's selfish of me not to share with her and my sister. And don't even get me started on her trying to act like her and my sister would do the same. I know for a fact my sister would not give me a dime if I were 10 cents short for a heart transplant. And my mom still owes me tens of thousands of dollars that she borrowed and swore she would pay back, which I don't expect back and wrote it off as soon as I gave it to her. I just can't even fathom how my mom could actually think like that. At that point, I was so furious and didn't want to say anything I'd regret. So I got up and walked out. Oh yeah, I also got a text half an hour later saying that I owed her money for lunch since I was the one who invited her, despite the fact that neither of us had even ordered before I left. As far as my sister goes, I haven't contacted her and she hasn't contacted me. At this point, I'm just done with her in my life. I don't know if I should do the same for my mother though. I would hate to not have a relationship with her, but I just can't believe how she could possibly think those things. Would love some advice on what to do as far as my relationship with my mother goes. Thanks. I was amazed that your mother reacted the way she initially did, and figured it was because she didn't know the whole story. After reading this update, I'm dumbfounded and angry. Both of their greed will not go away anytime soon, I think, especially with your mother crediting herself with your hard-earned success. You are probably better off without having either of them in your life. Right? Like if Opie's sister had tried to steal a $30,000 watch from a shop or a stranger, she would be in jail right now. So not only is Opie supposed to forgive his sister, he's supposed to enable it and give her more? WTF? Would love some advice on what to do as far as my relationship with my mother goes. I would keep it at the bare minimum. They see you as a cash cow, and you need to stop the flow of money immediately. That means no more loans, and no discussion of finances, period. I'd cut off contact, complete and absolute, until I was apologized to and the finances were never again to be discussed. Second update. Small update I thought I'd post. She called me but I didn't want to talk, so I let it go to voicemail, and she left a voicemail telling me to check my email. Here's her email. First of all, it was very rude of you to walk out on me at the cafe. I was humiliated, and you should know better than to treat your mother like that. As I said in the text, you owe me money for lunch since you were the one who invited me, so please bring $60 to give to me at Craig's barbecue. It is a shame that I even need to be telling you this. I know I raised you better than that, but you really need to start supporting this family. We are all one, and the success of any individual needs to be spread around the family. Your sister works as a pastry chef and is always more than happy to bake for everyone and brings us treats from work. I wish you would do the same. You can start out by helping me with the new apartment I'm moving to. The rent is $4,250 per month, not including utilities, and I'm planning on moving in around the 1st of September. So that gives you plenty of time to set up some sort of monthly bank transfer. I'm going to need $8,500 in about 2 weeks for the first and last month's rent. I'll also need you to come over a few times this month to help move my stuff over there. Bring the bigger truck, unless that's the manual because Todd doesn't know how to drive stick. As a thanks for moving my things over there, I will cover the security deposit myself so you don't even need to worry about it. And you still haven't apologized to your sister, so please get that done this week. It will take 5 minutes tops, so just get it done. It was wrong to humiliate her like that, and guess you had to be the one comforting her. Me? Like usual, text me to confirm that you got everything and let me know how soon you can bring the big truck over. I should also mention that I currently pay for her rent, but But after some long guilt trip about how she gave me free food and housing for 18 years, so it's time for me to repay the favor, I can clearly see now that that was a big mistake. And now she just assumes I'm going to pay her rent at some new huge place that costs twice as much and that she doesn't need? At this point, I'm done giving her any support. She clearly has no appreciation for it. Third update. So I just sent my mom an email letting her know that I will not be giving her any more money. Here's the gist of it. I will not be paying the rent for the new, more expensive apartment you want to move in. Not only will I not be paying for that, but I won't be paying for your rent for any apartment anymore. You will have to do that yourself. In addition to that, I will not be giving you any money whatsoever. You have shown that you have no respect for me or the work it takes to earn money, and I cannot continue to pay for things you don't need. I know this means cutting back a bit, but there is no reason for you to be living outside your means, and I won't subsidize your expensive lifestyle. I wrote it all out completely different, but that's the gist of what I told her. So just waiting for the freak out I'm sure is going to happen. Last update. After going through all the comments, thanks for the advice by the way, I decided to send my mother an email letting her know that I will absolutely not be paying for the new place she made plans to move to, and that I will stop paying her rent altogether. I told her that she clearly does not respect me or the work I put in order for me to be in a position to give her the money that I do. I also told her that I would not be financially supporting her in any way. A few hours after I sent the email, my phone starts blowing up. Calls over and over again. I still really didn't want to talk to her, so I ignored them all. A little while later, I get a call from my friend Dave, except when I answer the phone, it's my mom. I found out later from Dave that she showed up at a bike shop he works at and made up some story about her locking her purse with her phone and keys in the car and needing to call me for a ride. She immediately goes off on me about how ungrateful I am and that she's disgusted by the email I sent, etc. She told me that it's my duty to make sure she's well cared for and comfortable, as she's the reason I'm here in the first place. The worst part was when she told me that if she knew I was going to end up this way, that she wouldn't have put her life on hold for the last 2 decades in order to have me, and that I costed her her job and my dad and a bunch of her life plans. I couldn't even get a word in with all her yelling. The last thing she said was something along the lines of, "You need to have a come to Jesus moment and realize how much you are hurting your mother." I have already packed up most of my stuff, and I've spent a ton of time setting this move up. I expect the $8,500 before the weekend is over in a cashier's check, so let me know when you have it. And then she hung up. I don't think I have even been so mad in my entire life. She pretty much just told me that I need to make up for everything she missed out on in order to have me, by giving her money and making sure she's taken care of. I called her back and she tried to start talking, and I don't remember exactly what I said because I was so angry. But I basically told her to shut the hell up and let me talk, but with more swearing and yelling. I'm usually pretty calm and would never swear at my mom. I would never even swear near her. And I know I shouldn't have said that, but I wasn't thinking straight. I told her she better find another place to live or pay her rent herself, because she wasn't getting another dime from me. I turned my phone off after that because I didn't want to deal with any more calls or texts. I eventually needed to use my phone, so I turned it back on and just blocked her number. I saw that I had some calls/messages from her, but I didn't want to look at them. This morning, I got a call from the front desk at my building telling me that my mom had tried to get up to my room, but I had already told the elevator staff/security to take her off my guest list. Apparently, she caused quite the fuss when they wouldn't let her up. She's blocked on my phone now, so I haven't heard from her today yet. But I expect her to blow up on me again for what happened this morning. I think she's probably in denial and thinks that I will cave and pay for her new place. I'm worried about what she's going to do when the deadline for her to pay for her new place comes up, and I refuse to give her any money. The move-in date is pretty soon, and I'm sure she has to pay it pretty soon. I'm actually surprised she hasn't had to pay already. So that's going to cause a massive crapstorm. I'm really worried about what she's going to do. Thanks again for all the advice. Final comments. I can see where the sister gets it from. Yeah, something tells me Opie's mom was in on the watch stealing. Imagine being so stupid you blew up your entire life, all because you couldn't reprimand your daughter for having sticky fingers. Glad Opie got away from that crap stain of a mother. She didn't even need to actually do anything to the daughter. She could have kept her stupid mouth shut and continued living life on easy street. But God forbid her golden child get called out on her BS. She literally did not think the sister did anything wrong. So why would she ever reprimand her? In her mind, everything she said about Opie owing her for giving his life, and also owing the family because he was so successful, all of that is a fact, and she will live and die by that belief. She never thought she was blowing up her life. She fully expected to get everything she was demanding. Absolutely crazy level of delusion. Wow, and he was paying the mother's rent. Way to bite the hand that feeds you. Mom not only bit it, she chewed it up, swallowed it, digested it, and popped it out at the back end.